Hello, everyone. My name is Gitika Gorthy, and today I am very honored to be interviewing a very special space champion, Miss Dawn Zoldi. Miss Zoldi is the president and CEO of P3 Tech Consulting and at UAS Colorado. Additionally, she is an internationally recognized subject matter expert on tech law, regulation, and policy, recognized as one of the top 62 women in aviation and aerospace on LinkedIn in 2021 and a woman to watch in UAS 2019 for her thought leadership in this arena. As a 25-year US Air Force military officer, skilled legal advisor, and strategic leader, Ms. Zoldi has many wonderful experiences to share with us today. She has proven a track record of leading diverse groups and organizations, resolving the most complex issues, and effectively collaborating with senior executives at the highest levels of the US government, non-governmental, and international organizations to achieve outstanding results. So I'm so excited to be able to understand Ms. Zoldi's journey and what really got her into the tech aspect of the aerospace industry. So welcome, Ms. Zoldi. Thank you so much for taking your time to inspire the next generation.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Gitka. And I'll tell you, what you're doing is incredible. So it's so important to inspire the next generation because they are the future. And it's a really honor to be a part of this interview.
Thank you so much. Before we get into understanding, kind of the passion and where it started from, could you tell us a little bit more on what you do on a daily basis and how your typical day might look?
Sure. So I wear many, many hats. You mentioned a couple, primarily my company, P3 Tech Consulting. And that's really all about advising people about the policies, plans, platforms, and, giving them information they need to succeed in this industry. And when I say this industry, I'm talking very broadly, but with an emphasis on unmanned or uncrewed aircraft systems, advanced air mobility, and all the different technologies that are really part of that ecosystem, which includes space, right? And satellites and GPS. And I know we're going to talk about that. But to your question of, what do I do on a daily basis? I don't sleep a lot. I get up really early and, I spend a good hour and a half across social media, all platforms, pushing out information, and then depending on the day, I have my own podcast, The Dawn of Drones. That's every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and where I really amplify and elevate the voices in the industry that are doing incredible things. It's so fun. I do. Oh, go ahead. You wanted to ask me something.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I actually was listening to a few of your podcast interviews. They were amazing to listen to.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And, kind of in conjunction with that, I do a drop-in audio chat through Clubhouse called Drone Law Connections. And that's every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So, anybody that wants to follow me there, please do. We love having people. We have people from all over the globe that come in, and there's such rich conversations. It's so cool. I do a ton of writing, Gitka. So I'm a regular columnist for Inside Unmanned Systems magazine, but for the space crowd here, I do the Washington View for Inside GNSS magazine. And so I'm always writing about GPS and position, navigation, timing, kind of what's happening in that arena from a policy and legal perspective, especially in DC. I recently got picked up as a contributor to Forbes.com. And I write regularly for Drone Life and, a lot of companies too. And my pieces get placed in all different kinds of magazines. From today, there was a company said, hey, we put the piece you wrote for us in Access and Rescue magazine, right? So it was a public safety focused magazine. Magazines like Military Embedded Systems, which is very niche, and eVTOL as an example of vertical. So that's basically what I do on a daily basis. I also, because we're trying to inspire the next generation, I also do take time to take care of myself, which I think is really important. And I do want to talk about that because I think a lot of young people, especially, and I know, look back on my life being a hard charger, it's very easy to not go to the gym or not eat properly because you just have so much to do. And I really make it a point, especially now that you can see I'm in my basement here, in my Wonder Woman production lair. Um, I make it a point to get out of the basement and go for a walk outside every day, regardless of the weather. I take my dogs and it's very peaceful. I do it for an hour, about 3 miles, and try to do that. Like I pretty much do it every day. So it's great because it refreshes my brain, it breaks up the day, and then I can kind of get back to work.
Yeah, it's awesome that you're reaching out to so many individuals through your writing pieces and your podcast as well, and trying to spread the excitement of the space industry, which is awesome. And also, thank you for stressing the point of mental and physical well being. I feel like, especially during the pandemic, we find ourselves on our computers or some sort of screen 24/7. So it's nice to always, detach yourself from your room and kind of go outside for a nature walk. And so I think it's definitely important to kind of keep that as part of your daily routine. So, yeah, thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing that.
I'm talking to you right now from my stand-up desk too. I mean, so, kind of weaving that in of standing up, sitting down, like you really have to, you're absolutely right, especially in the pandemic, you have to make a concerted effort to get up, to move, to do something, other than just be tied to your computer all day long.
Yes, 100%. And I was also reading how you are a professor and how you were a professor and you also worked for the US Air Force, which I found really as amazing experiences that you could have before you come into the aerospace industry, in the tech savvy area. So could you share a little bit more of these experiences and how they might have helped form who you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start, maybe go way back machine. I graduated from law school, Villanova Law School in 1992, and I joined the United States Air Force Direct Commission, which means right from law school, like they didn't pay for my law school. I went right in as an officer, and as part of the Judge Advocate General's Corps. So, you come in, if people know the rank out there, you come in essentially as a first lieutenant. Within 6 months, you make captain. And as a captain, which is that's a company grade officer, people are looking at you like you know what you're talking about. So you really have to. And what I loved about my career, when I signed the dotted line for that, it was a 4-year commitment. And, almost 25 years later, I can look back and say it was the best decision I ever made. What I absolutely loved about my career, and it did get me into drones in particular, when I was a little bit more senior in my career, was that there was always something new and different I was learning. So that's kind of a thread throughout my life, is I'm a nerd and I'm a lifelong learner. I love to just sink my teeth into some new issue, new area, and in my case, new area of the law or policy. And the Air Force really afforded me that opportunity, and it was just absolutely spectacular. The other thing I'll say about my career is the people I met in the military, whether it was Air Force or Marine Corps, or Navy, or my interagency partners, like from the Department of State or Department of Justice, just amazing people. Like what a team, and just really great. Like I said, it was really later in life, as I was a senior officer, a lieutenant colonel, and then I retired as a colonel, which is one rank below 1-star general. Um, that's really when I got into the drone stuff. And I was chief of operational law at Air Combat Command in Southern Virginia. And it was in 2012 to 2014. And there was just a lot of things going on in the country, including at the time, we thought Iraq was winding down, right? So a lot of those drones were coming back home, which, normally they'd be overseas. And this question of, well, what are the rules of military drones in the national airspace? You'd think, it would be really set and solid, but it kind of wasn't. And so I formed up a group called the DoD, Department of Defense Domestic Imagery Working Group, and a cross-functional, cross-disciplinary. And we basically wrote the policy, not just for the Air Force, but for the whole department. And it just really sparked a passion in me. Like I thought to myself, at the same time, in the country, there was a whole host of drone laws getting populated in almost every state. And I just started reading those on my own, started writing about it and talking about it. And I really it just sparked a passion in me. And it's a passion that I continued on as I moved to the Air Force Academy, which was my last job in the Air Force on active duty. And it kind of culminated in my award that you mentioned, 2019 of Woman to Watch in UAS, Global Award with Women in Drones. And that inspired me to create my company. And that's the story. Now when it comes to teaching, I'm still teaching. I love teaching. I did at the Air Force Academy and several different stints along the way throughout my career, including as a civilian after I retired at their leadership center. But I now teach at Colorado State University Pueblo, and I teach Homeland Security. And so, of course, given my background, I talk a lot about technology and the different threats that different technological developments can present to the homeland, and what agencies have responsibilities to address them. So it's a ton of fun, and I have a great class.
That's incredible. So I noticed that you're saying you went to law school and then you kind of took the tech aspect of like, security with privacy in relation to technology and, the policy sector. So I'm curious, were you always interested in tech and did you know you wanted to go into that whole technology policy sector area? Or did that kind of come along through law school?
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't even through law school. It was through my Air Force career, because like I said, every assignment, and they move us every couple of years, it was a different topic. Like for a period of time, I was a prosecutor. Like I was putting people in jail. I was prosecuting very big felony cases, including attempted murder, some of the crimes against children. So I did that for a period of time. I was a defense counsel. I had several leadership roles. It was really when I got into operational law, and it was, again, very late in my career, that this technology kind of connection started because all of these other topics, when you work in the Air Force as a lawyer and you're on a base, you're typically, it's like advising the mayor of a city, right? The wing commander. It's all those things like labor law and environmental law and criminal law. Operational law is not always a big part of that. When you deploy and, you're giving advice, that could be. And so that started for me at US Central Command. I actually worked for General Mattis when he was there. And that's when I started getting into the tech stuff. It was really my next assignment at Air Combat Command where that really clicked. And then it was something that I continued doing.
Yeah, and so you saw this need, I guess, in this like kind of gap where we needed the company, like, you started your own business after that. And I'm sure that must have been a huge step in your career, like a huge jump. So could you tell us more about, how you got the confidence to start your business and your role and the purpose of the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're talking to the future generation here and trying to inspire folks. I will tell you, get a mentor. I was so fortunate throughout my career always to have mentors, and frankly, many of them were men. Just given that I was in the military. And when I decided that I was going to create my company, is like after winning that award, and people started approaching me like with work opportunities, and I was like, why would I do this for free? Like just as a matter of
Yeah.
principle, I should be paid for this. Like it's time to create the company. Actually, my brother, his name is Dan Kopachinski. He started multiple companies, and so he was a really big help to me. Literally held my hand as we pushed the button on LegalZoom to create my LLC, my limited liability corporation. And then the person that really helped me kind of with all the logistics and, kind of that checklist of don't forget your website. And, you got to think of your accounting system. That was Major General retired James Poss. And he remains a mentor to me today, and really helped me and inspired me to create my company. He had been telling me for a while, like, you need to get out and you need to start a company. And I was like, no. I was very comfortable what I was doing, but I took the leap. So yeah, after I pushed the button and created the company, it kind of took on a life of its own, really. Some of my first clients were women in drones. I actually am an ambassador for the award that I won to kind of pay that forward. So I help the CEO of Women in Drones run the Women to Watch Global Awards program for UAS. And in fact, it's our 5th anniversary this year. It's really exciting. I also started getting into conference planning. It just kind of worked out that way where, because I knew a lot of people, I would put together panels for, a particular company. So that's something I did. And then right out of the chute, I started writing. And that's, you would ask me earlier, what do I spend most of my time on? It's writing. And I joke about Wonder Woman, but when people ask me, I tell them my superpower is writing. That's what I love to do it. I'm super passionate about it. And, I just feel like that it gives a voice to other people in the industry and the amazing things they're doing. It's never about me. It's about like what other people are doing. And I absolutely love it.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, taking that step and getting that confidence and building like a community around you to support to start a business is definitely, it's a big thing. I think definitely when you think about a business, it's intimidating. I remember when I knew I really wanted to start a nonprofit in 8th grade, it was like, wait, where do I start? And there's so many websites to help you online, and there's so many things out there. It's just a matter of taking that leap and that jump of like, wait, can I actually do this? So I think that's incredible that you did do that and you took that leap of faith, kind of, even though you got a lot of offers, you chose to do something for yourself and on your own. So I think that's incredible. And definitely the advice of having a mentor, especially because I'm a high schooler student, I always try to build that mentorship and that community. And, having mentors every stage of your life is so important because I was actually reading an article the other day about how, like, I think it was like 75% or even more, number of people get their jobs or work opportunities through connections or through mentors.
Absolutely. It's all about relationships. And, you can look, I gotta say, you're cracking me up because you're like, I remember when I was in 8th grade and decided to start my not-for-profit. I mean, I was what, 50 years old, maybe 51, when I got the courage to do that. And so, wow, like that's what I'm saying. Good on you that you have already done that. I mean, I'm so proud of what you're doing. And just for everybody else out there, I mean, I don't want you to be intimidated by what she's done or think like I'm in high school. I haven't started my own company yet. I mean, I think you're really the exception to the rule. And but having a mentor and having the courage because you have that support there is so key, whether it's creating a nonprofit or becoming an entrepreneur or just making a decision like a high school student on what college you want to go to and what major you might want to do, right?
Yeah.
All of those things to have someone helping you, I think is so important.
Yeah, a huge theme of like the interviews I really like to stress is that age is not a boundary, whether it be taken in two different ways. So you can be very young and do something, or you can think that you're old, like the normal career age or whatever, but you can change completely. Like I've interviewed a few individuals who completely like shifted their whole career track from going into like marketing all the way to like becoming a rocket scientist. And it's crazy how like, you would think that someone, maybe 70 years of age wouldn't switch careers into like becoming an engineer, but they do. And that just shows to say that age is not a boundary for anything. So I think your story is also a testament to that.
Well, I thank you. And I really feel like all of those stories and the ones that you're telling, what it all comes down to is finding your passion. And you may not find that right away. Like you may have to, and that the other thing I want to say too is I think I see my own kids and they're probably your age. Um, you know, people are so afraid to fail. And to me, it's like failure. I even hate that word in a way. Um, you dust yourself off and you learn from it and you get better, right? So, I say get out there, try things outside of your comfort zone, challenge yourself, because if you don't, and I'll use my husband's a coach. He always says this, you'll never make the shots you don't take. Like you'll never make them, right? So go for it. And, maybe it'll work out great. Maybe it won't. And you know what? Here's the beautiful thing. You learn something. Maybe that's not the thing you either love or want to do or should do. And that's okay. Because like you said, I was in my 50s, other people you talk to are in their 70s. Like life is a journey. It's not one and done. So give yourself the grace to explore what you're about, especially in college. And, don't put that kind of pressure on yourself that you have to, pick a path and stick to that path no matter what, even if it's just, a path that maybe all the indications are telling you you shouldn't be on. That's okay. That it's okay to hear that message and to revector.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your husband's actually quote because that's so inspirational. What's really funny is I actually in third grade heard that quote. My dad was actually telling me, it was like from an Olympic medalist, because I'm a basketball player. So he was telling me, Gitika, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, which is like a quote that an Olympic medalist said. And ever since third grade, because I used to love playing basketball, but I was always so scared to like take the shot because I thought I would make my whole team lose. And
Right.
like once he told me that quote, I kind of realized like, oh, if I have an opportunity to shoot and I just choose not to because I'm scared, I'm 100% going to miss it and I'm going to get 0 points. So I might as well try and maybe I might get it in. So that's a quote that actually was so similar to what you were saying. So
That's
yeah, I definitely think it's something that should apply to life as well.
very, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. And going a little bit into the whole space sector, a lot of the times my friends, my younger brother, they ask like why invest in space? And there are many reasons that I could list from, the things that I've read about, but I'm curious to hear your perspective on, from your unique background, why do you believe people should care about investing in space technology and the space industry overall?
Well, let's put it this way. Uh, how many times have you used your phone to get directions when you're, or see what I'm saying? Okay, GPS, it's pervasive and it's kind of part and parcel of our society. From everything else to your Waze app to finding, that restaurant you want to get to navigation on the aircrafts that we fly on, to everything. Okay. And so when you think about it, GPS is a constellation of satellites that the military had, right, put up there and created. And there's other satellites out there. And it's so crucial. I mean, it's the lifeblood of our infrastructure, uh, you know, and I don't know that people fully appreciate that, nor do I think that unless you're really deeply in the industry, when I say the industry, space, or even, I'd say even many people in the drone industry don't appreciate the role that satellite communications and position navigation and timing and GPS play in everything they do and everything we do. And the concern is, the vulnerability of those systems to things, to spoofing, to hacking, to jamming. And how do we make those systems resilient? What are the backups? What are the complementary technologies? And that's what I write about pretty much almost every single edition for Inside GNSS magazine, because those are really deep issues that really smart people are thinking about. I mean, I'm writing about their thoughts, but that's exactly why people need to care about space. Now, is everybody going to, join the Space Force or become, some kind of a satellite or space engineer? No. But the fact is, we are all consumers of space. So whether or not you actually pivot your career to work in an industry that is very space specific, I almost guarantee any industry you're in is going to be touched by space assets and capabilities. And so that's to me why space is so important.
That is an amazing way to put it, especially where you said we're all consumers of space. I think that's a very nice and like impactful way to think about it, whether it be, we're working towards renewable energy and using, installing more solar panels. And the reason we have solar panels is because of space technology. So just coming from, the nitty gritty of protecting our planet to all the way to daily use of our phones. As a new driver, I use a GPS all the time, and I don't know what I would do without it. And I'm sure a lot of people rely on various space technology day to day. So that's a really great way to put it. We're all consumers of space technology and space exploration. So we should all care about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I'm curious into understanding, did you have challenges in your journey from going into law, starting your business, being in the Air Force, maybe some challenges, and how were you able to overcome them?
Boy, that's a broad question. I mean, look, we all have challenges. I think you know, what a lot of young girls ask me and have asked me, or younger women have asked me in my career is, how did you balance doing what you do, right? Doing what you did. And in my case, becoming a colonel, active duty military, attorney, um, and having a family. And that having balance in your life, whether you have children or not, I think is the biggest challenge we all face. And that's something that, I will not profess to be like, hey, I've got balance down, right? I've got it down. I think sometimes people look at me and they say, wow, you are super unbalanced, because like I do get up sometimes 3:30 in the morning and start writing. I'm a morning person. But what I tell people, and I use this metaphor, if you've ever seen a Bosu ball in the gym, it's like that half dome with the hard, kind of plastic bottom. If you flip it over and, you just have, the plastic side up, if you've ever tried to balance on that, do squats or any exercise, what you realize is that it actually takes every single muscle in your body to maintain that balance. And the metaphor I use for people is this. The Bosu metaphor is, balance takes work. It's a challenge, and it takes a lot of hard work. So you have to plan, you have to make choices. And, just like what we talked about in the beginning, that choice of, yeah, I have this thing I need to write, but you know what? I'm going to get up and take my walk. That's a choice. And these are choices we all make every day. So, I'd say my challenges weren't necessarily different than anybody, whether you're a woman or a man, or, boy or a girl face. The challenge of balance in your life is one that we all struggle with, I believe. And how you address that is really, you have to kind of find that sweet spot like you do on the Bosu ball. And it's going to be different for you, Gitka, than it is for me, because our body types are, everything, weight distribution, how we even just place our feet, it's going to be different. But even if you have a mentor, that their life and their path may not necessarily be the template for you. It's something we all have to figure out for ourselves. So that's what I would say on challenges and how to overcome them.
Wow, that's like an incredible perspective and point of view to put it in. I've never heard of that one before, and it's truly like changed my perspective, because I know like a lot of times in high school when you're a senior, you got a lot of things going on, you get really stressed out. It's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and not do anything until, something happens. But it's always important to like make that right choice for yourself, even though it's difficult. And I think that the way you put it was just a really great way of thinking of it. So thank you so much.
Well, can I just say one more thing to the seniors that are out there? Are you a senior?
Yeah, I actually am.
Okay, so I'm talking to you now. So treasure the moment, right? Like, it's so easy, whether you're a senior or, later in life, to just get mired in the minutia, just enjoy the little moments. I mean, this is your time with your friends, this is the last year you have together. And, just those little moments of thankfulness too, like COVID is still happening, but guess what? Classes are in person for many people. Like, treasure that, because two classes before you the last 2 years didn't get that opportunity. And so never take things like that for granted. So go to that football game. You know what I mean? Like on a Friday night, even if it's not something you've done before, because you know what? You might not have another chance to do it, and do it while you can. So I'll get off my soapbox there, but I'm really passionate about that because I watched my boys through COVID, and one of them happened to be a senior when it really struck initially, and I watched what he went through. And I have a senior now, his little brother, and every day I tell him, like, just be so thankful that you can see your friends in class. So it's those little things that they really matter.
Yeah, I know sometimes you can get really overwhelmed and you're like, oh, I'm not going to go to this football game. And then 10 years later, you're like, I should have gone to that football game. So definitely, I think enjoying the moment and being grateful is definitely it's nice to hear it from another person. And so, my last and final question for you, now that we were able to understand a little bit of your journey as well as your perspective on the space industry, is you kind of addressed this question already, but just kind of a one final time is what final piece of advice do you have for younger students across the world who want to pursue a career in the STEM field, aerospace industry, really anything, something that you wish you knew when you were a middle school or high school student yourself?
Boy. Well, the first thing I'll say, I'll reframe the question. They always say in an interview, answer the question you wanted to be asked. I'm going to reframe it a little bit, and I'm going to call it STEAM. And the reason why I am is because I think people believe oftentimes that it has to be science, science, technology, engineering, and math. But the arts play a big role too, even in things like space. I think I'm a living example of being an attorney, kind of a right brain person, I guess, a little bit more artsy and artistic, where I'm in this field, right? I've never been an engineer, and I never could be an engineer. My brain just doesn't work that way. I respect engineers. So what I would say to that is, whether STEAM or whatever you choose to do, like, jump into it both feet, read everything you can, because you know what, like, to what you said earlier is, you don't know until you try, and just learn from everybody, learn from your mentors, learn from books, subscribe to newsletters, watch videos, just never ever stop learning. And it doesn't really matter what you do, you'll find your passion. And whether it's STEM, STEAM, space, something completely different, you'll find it if you look and if you learn.
Yeah, that's amazing advice to really just give to everyone to remember. So I want to thank you so much, Ms. Zoldi, for taking your time to kind of share everything with us. I had an incredible conversation with you, and it definitely kind of gave me a new perspective of how I should even handle my own senior year or even the years after, and how I shouldn't just stay in like one track or one path and kind of be open to everything. So I want to thank you so much for that. I really appreciate all your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a real privilege. And best of luck to you. Congratulations in advance on your
Thank you.
graduation.
Thank you.